Yeah, hi friends, it's Harpreet from Western Singh Law Firm. So now I want to talk about, as we are moving forward in the journey of just learning about what is homestead protections, which you get to protect your equity in your primary residence. So recently there have been a change in terms of that protection amounts. I will recap and just mention, I think in the previous videos, I discussed about different amounts you get protection on. So if you are single, so you can save, I think, $75,000 of your equity from any judgment creditors. And if you have a family unit living in that house, it's about 100,000. And if suppose you were disabled, or if you were over 65, or if you were over 55 and you are low income, then you get $175,000 protection. So those were the old amounts. So recently the California legislature has passed AB 1885, that's the Assembly Bill 1885, which governor signed recently. It has been, I think, about like 3-4 days. So because we are going through this pandemic, and there is a great concern that people obviously will have more and more debt because the salaries are, I think, reduced, jobs were lost. So there is a great concern that that people will, I think, have more and more debt over the time, and obviously your biggest asset is your primary residence, and it will affect the ownership and the interest you have in primary residence, because now the judgment the creditors will file a lawsuit, a collections lawsuit, and most of the lawsuit they win, and then they try to find to recover their, I think, amounts. And the biggest asset you have is primary residence, so they put lien on that. They try to do a forced sale on that. So there is a whole lot of concern. So California legislature thought, why not we just increase these protections against your equity? Because obviously you have seen real estate boom after 2008 crash. So there are like lot of, I think, equity build up in people's houses. So in order to protect that, so government just brought this legislation, and now it become the law. So it increased the amounts instead of being these tiered, I think, amounts like 7,500 based on like different kind of people and their characters. So now the government has thought, why not we just bring a value-based system? In a value-based system, it's not depending on your characteristics, like your situations or your family unit, you're single, not those kind of things. It's basically based on your value. So government has thought about, at least you would get $300,000 of protection, the homestead, the statutory exemption against the judgment creditors. That's the at least $300,000, and you can imagine $300,000 at least. If I can imagine like whole Central Valley, it's even, I think, even equities has gone up. It has not probably reached 300,000 for average person, but government is providing like $300,000 of equity protection against the judgment creditors. And this amount is till go maximum 600,000. So it's either minimum 300,000 or the greater of the median home price for a single family home in your county in a particular annual year. So if I think about Stanislaus County, if suppose it is 300,000 or it's 400,000, which is it's not, it's probably, I think, if we go down towards the Bay Area, you will find those values. So if suppose it's 400, 500,000, the medium home price, so you will get that 500,000 up to the 600,000, but minimum 300,000. So you see, from 300 to 600, anywhere in that based on your county. And it would be determined if suppose in 2020, or because this basically it will also be adjusted every year. But for example, in 2021, you just claim that exemption. So which year will be counted? The medium home price, it's 2020. The year prior you are trying to get the claim. So if suppose that amount is $500,000 for single family home in your county in that particular year, then obviously you will get that protection. And it's whole, I think it's a very huge change, because it's like more than double. So so that's the, I think, the information I want to share with you. And another point I want to add is this amount will increase based on inflation, based on the consumer price index, which is published by the Department of Industrial Relations. So again, there is a whole lot of protection, but I think you need to get aware of these stuff. It's really important. People don't know it when they get into the situations.